Big ruling yesterday. This was,
Yes.
if you are a common sense individual, if you are in favor of protecting young children and waiting until they become of legal age and consent, and then you want to go and, chop off your breasts or remove your penis or anything like that, you can knock yourself out. 12 years old, 13, 10, 8, 16, no shot. We know one thing for sure, that the brain is not fully formulated and finalized until 25, 26 years old. My whole stance has been, can't do it until you're at least 18. If you want to go fight for your country and die in combat when you're 18 and you're an adult, I got you. You got to wait until you're 18. Supreme Court rules on a state ban on gender transition treatments for minors in the landmark case. Yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled that a Tennessee law banning specific transgender medical treatment for adolescents in the state is not discriminatory, ruling 6-3 to uphold the law. This was the Tennessee Attorney General, Jonathan Skrmetti. At issue in this case, the United States v. Skrmetti, was whether Tennessee's Senate Bill 1, which prohibits all medical treatments intended to allow a minor to identify with or live as purported identity inconsistent with a minor's sex, or to treat purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity, violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And guess how they ruled? 6-3. Let's take a guess. Oh, that's right. 3 female liberal justices. Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. The latest one, the Biden appointee, who a few years ago, when asked, what is a woman, she could not define what a woman is. Much like Tim Walz. Last week when Nancy Mace said, Mr. Walz, what is a female? And there Mr. Potato Head was sitting there, perplexed at the question, like he was asked for the square root of 81 and didn't know the answer. So that's the ruling from yesterday. And I want to give you some stats here from a YouGov poll, and I also want to show you some pictures. But my big takeaway with this is when you look at the 3 liberal female justices, doesn't this just go to show you, Dawn, tell me if you think I'm stepping out of the right lane here. The Democrat Party and liberal justices, anybody, left of moderate, from liberal to progressive, this is now, I think J.D. Vance was right months ago when he got excoriated. The Democrat Party is now the party of females without kids. Let me ask you, if you have a child, if you have a child, how can you allow, Phil, I'm going to do pictures first. Throw these pictures up. This is K3.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I want you to see this.
Oh, God.
This is a gore alert, though. If somebody gets triggered by it.
Yeah.
Wait, warn us.
Okay.
What is that?
All right. So that is skin that has been removed, I'm assuming, to put elsewhere for whatever part you're losing or you're gaining in a gender transition procedure.
So that's what that's what it looks like underneath your skin. Huh?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I had to see my father, God rest his soul. He had part of his foot removed when he was diabetic, and he had to have skin graft procedures and things like that. It is unbelievably horrific to sit there and watch somebody have to deal with something like that. And then this is a child who I believe,
for God's sake,
just my personal beliefs. And Phil, throw this up here. Here's K4. There's the healing of the arm in due time, and then there is what I'm assuming used to be breasts of a female that are no longer there, or a guy that wants breasts and has gone through. I have no idea. It's such a mind F that I don't even know what I'm looking at, other than I know it's disgusting. And then, Phil, let's throw up K2. This was a YouGov survey where Americans were polled on gender-affirming care. A majority of Americans say transgender minors should not be allowed gender-affirming treatment. Overall, of all the people polled between June 6th and June 9th, this is a YouGov Economist survey, 53%, so it is, as Harry Enton would say, a clear plurality, should not be allowed gender-affirming care. 82% of Republicans say no dice. 54% of independents say can't do it as a child. And yet 22% of Democrats oppose it. 55% of Democrats are on board with this. This, to me, is sheer lunacy. And, Dawn, my last bloviating point here. I'm glad SCOTUS upheld with Tennessee, ruled in their favor. And I hope the precedent is set where now Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Illinois, California, all the big blue states, that this will hopefully be a nationwide ban, because these other states, they're going to go kicking and screaming into the night.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things. What I was looking for, and by the way, the reason that they didn't ask Trump about this when he was out there for hours, we're very proud of the fact that the flagpole installation, was because this ruling came down right after he stopped doing that riffing with the media.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we later learned the details of it because it was just coming out. And one of them is, we've talked a lot about these puberty blockers.
Yep. And
there are many and that's a huge controversy, because many in the gay community say that puberty, or even the gay community, I should say, but many doctors say that going through puberty is actually the cure. In other words, let kids go through the normal process of, their body, and that this happens when kids are prepubescent. Once they go through puberty, then they figure out, well, maybe I'm straight, maybe I'm gay, whatever. But that oftentimes they figure out, oh, I was straight after all. I went through this phase, whatever. Maybe it's influenced by, as we've talked about, the influences of media and social media and so on. So the puberty blockers are critical because you have kids in some states, apparently, as young as 8 years old.
Yep.
Starting with these puberty blockers, you're sterilized. So we don't even know the full impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, remember, we reported on that, what was that, a year or so ago, with everybody else in the world. The UK, everybody else looked at the studies that were done, especially in the UK, and they said, whoa, let's put the brakes on this. And let's say that to a child under the age of 18, you are beautiful as you are. Now, once you're 18 plus, you be you. If you want to, as now a legal adult, you want to go ahead and get whatever surgery you're going to get, then you be you.
Mm-hmm.
This has to do with children as young as 8 years old taking things, not just these scarring surgeries that, quite frankly, have you ever had a surgery?
Yep.
You know what I mean? These are major surgeries where you're under anesthesia, where you have months to recover. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's been through a surgery, I've never had a major surgery, so I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
But I have relatives who have.
I mean, Zioli was out for 4 months with a sprained ankle.
And I think he had to have a surgery on that.
Yeah.
Now imagine removing your genitals.
Imagine your private parts, and then you have to have tubes tubes through things.
Oh God!
And then I've got
that has to do with your your excrement and so on. Right. I just want you to, and we're putting kids through that. I think it's crazy.
Stalker was on the shelf for 6 months with a bruised fingernail.
By the way, it's slowly healing. By the way, you can look at it on the YouTube.
Did the nail fall off?
No.
No,
I don't think I'm going to lose the nail.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm an amazing person, Don Sanders.
You
Thank
are.
you.
You still have 31 days to lose that nail.
If I do, can't say I'm going to ride.
Valid excuse.
Yeah.
Hands are a big part of this.
Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, one of the things she wrote,
Yeah.
she said that this ruling that she was writing the dissented decision, she wrote, authorizes without second thought untold harm to transgender children and the parents and families who love them.
If they
untold harm.
If they can't lop their wieners and breasts off,
yes,
that's
what she's saying.
That's dramatic to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or be sterilized. In other words, imagine making a decision about your gender at age 10 or 7 or 8 or whenever they start some of these puberty blockers, which apparently they have. Imagine that decision apparently sterilizing you, that you can never have children, and that decision is made at 7 or 8?
Can we lock the parents up? Is it
Greg,
allowed?
Greg,
is it
here's
allowed?
the thing, though. Greg, here's the problem, and heartbroken parents have spoken out about this, that the parents, so their kid in school, think about it, and especially this happened in Jersey. So you have a kid who's encouraged in school, and they're in like second grade, okay, and up. And they're encouraged since kindergarten or pre-K that they can be whatever they want. Maybe they're she, her, and he, him, and whatever. They can choose their gender daily. They're encouraged in school. So now the school calls and says, well, your kid has some self-harm issues. And now they learn all of this. And this is put on you as a parent. You don't know anything. and they're told you need to go to the hospital. And now the hospital tells you your child is at high risk for self-harm and suicide if you don't go along with this care that all these prestigious doctors are recommending.
Yep.
Now you're the parent. So now imagine this. And these parents were basically sucked into this and thinking, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna my child. Like, what do I do?"
When I was growing up as a kid, I was told in school, you could be anything you want, Nick. A firefighter, a doctor, a lawyer, a professional football player. Here we are in 2025, and we've got teachers telling boys they can be girls.
JJK on the YouTube chat says that we don't even let our kids walk to school
Yeah.
by themselves.
Right.
Would you allow your kid to balance your checkbook?
It's it is such a dichotomy of like the difference where it's
Yeah.
like you're right. We like shield our kids from everything. Oh, they can't walk to school. They can't do this.
Yeah.
Oh, heaven forbid they're 5 feet in front of the house. They might get kidnapped. But yet when they come to us and say, "I want to lop my wiener off," they're like, "Okay, no problem."